Part 1. The fall of the Apixvorak was a name that caused fear across the stars. Among the Andraxi species, he was their strongest and deadliest warrior. Vorak was not just a soldier, he was a predator. He'd been born and trained to hunt, kill, and survive in the deadliest environments in the galaxy. He had never lost a fight. Every planet he visited ended the same way, with silence. No more enemies, no more resistance. The Andraxi were a fearsome species known for their power and sharp instincts. But even among them, Vorak was special. He had teeth strong enough to bite through metal, claws sharper than any blade, and armor that could stop plasma blasts. He was tall, muscular, and terrifying to look at. He was also smart. He studied his enemies before striking. He watched, waited, and then attacked with brutal force. One day, Vorak heard something interesting. During a conversation among hunters in a distant star system, someone mentioned a planet called Earth. It was marked as a red zone by the Galactic Council. That meant do not visit. It was a forbidden planet. Not because of disease, not because of radiation, but because of danger. The Council had sent a few scout ships there many years ago. None of them returned. Satellites had picked up signs of advanced weapons, strange wildlife, and something worse. Humans. Vorak was intrigued. How dangerous could a little planet like Earth really be? Most alien species, Earth was wild, untamed, and not worth the risk. But to Vorak, that sounded like the perfect challenge. If Earth scared the Council, then it must be strong. And Vorak wanted to hunt the strongest. He returned to his personal ship, called the Maw. It was designed for stealth and speed. Black and sleek like a shadow, the ship could disappear from radar and sensors. It had survived wars and asteroid storms. Vorak had landed on burning worlds and icy moons with it. He trusted the Maw more than anything else. With the ship ready, Vorak set a course straight for Earth. As the Maw entered Earth's solar system, Vorak's scanners picked up strange signals. Human technology was everywhere: satellites, radio waves, strange music, and videos. Vorak growled to himself. These humans were loud. They weren't hiding. They didn't fear being seen. He activated the ship's cloaking device and aimed. For a remote landing zone, his plan was simple: land quietly, observe the creatures, and begin the hunt. But something went wrong. As the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, it was hit by a sudden and violent storm of debris. A rogue meteor shower, unexpected and deadly, tore through the sky. One large rock slammed into the Maw, tearing through its left wing. The ship's systems went wild. Warnings screamed in a language only Vorak could understand. He tried to regain control, but it was too late. The ship spiraled downward, smoke trailing behind like a falling star. Fire licked across its sides. Pieces broke off as it passed through clouds and trees. Finally, with a massive crash, the ship slammed into a dense forest covered in snow and ice. Everything went dark. When Vorak opened his eyes, pain shot through his chest. His vision was blurry, and the cold bit into his skin. The ship's cockpit was shattered. Fire hissed and crackled around him. The ship had been destroyed, but he was alive. Vorak groaned and pulled himself out of the wreckage. His armor had protected him from the worst of the crash, but he was injured. His side bled green. One arm felt numb, but his mind was clear and focused. He looked around. He was surrounded by tall pine trees, snow-covered ground, and silence. The air was cold and crisp. Steam rose from the warm metal of the broken ship. This was Earth, and Vorak smiled. Despite the pain, he felt excitement. This was the beginning of a new hunt, fresh challenge, a world feared by the galaxy. Vorak would walk it, study it, and conquer it. He activated his armor's healing gel and wrapped his injured arm. It would hold for now. His scanner buzzed to life. Life forms were nearby animals, some large, some fast. Good, he thought. He looked up at the cloudy sky. No one from the Galactic Council would come for him. Earth was blocked. From outside help, no rescue, no interference. He was alone, just the way he liked it, as he limped away from the crash site. Vorak thought about the old legends told by alien explorers. They spoke of strange, hairless creatures that built metal cities, flew machines into space, and created weapons that could destroy entire regions. These creatures, the legend said, were smart and fearless. They had fought wars not just with others but with each other. Endless conflicts, never-ending battles, yet they always came back stronger. Humans to Vorak. They sounded like worthy prey. He had hunted insect beasts the size of buildings. He had fought robotic war machines powered by AI. He had crushed enemies with his bare hands. But this time was different. This was Earth, and something felt off. The forest was quiet, but not dead. Vorak's instincts told him he was being watched, not by human Zeet, but by nature. Earth's wilds felt alive. This was not like other planets where animals ran away from danger. Here they hunted. Back, his scanners picked up a large creature moving in the distance. Vorak smiled again. Let the hunt begin. As he pushed forward into the woods, he didn't know what was coming. He didn't know that this planet had been shaped by struggle, that humans were born in fire and storm, that Earth itself was a training ground for survival. Vorak believed he was the predator, but he would soon learn. On Earth was the prey. End of Part 1. Part 2. First contact with Agritzla. Vorak walked through the forest, moving slowly but carefully. His ship had crashed badly. His side was injured, and his armor was cracked in several places. Still, he moved with the mindset of a hunter. His sharp eyes scanned the thick trees and icy ground. His boots left deep prints in the snow. Cold air filled his lungs, but it didn't bother him. This world was different. It felt alive in a way most planets didn't. There was no silence. Birds called out from trees. Small animals rustled through the brush. The wind made the trees creak and moan. He was being watched, but not by humans. Not yet. He used his wrist scanner to search for nearby life. It pinged. Something big was close. Bigger than the other creatures he had seen, Vorak narrowed his eyes and moved toward it. Maybe it was one of Earth's so-called predators. A good test. A warm dash up. He moved silently through the forest, his steps light despite his heavy armor. The snow crunched softly underfoot. Then he saw it. It stood about 10 meters away, massive, covered in thick brown fur. 4 strong legs, a wide body, and a face with small eyes and sharp teeth. Vorak had never seen anything like it. His scanner displayed the word, grizzly bear. Bear. Vorak whispered to himself. Primitive. Wild. Strong. The bear didn't see him at first. It was sniffing around the base of a tree, maybe looking for food. Vorak's instincts kicked in. This was prey. Big prey, but prey all the same. He activated his wrist blades. 2 long, glowing claws extended from his armor, crouched slightly, preparing to attack. But the bear looked up, and in that moment, everything changed. The grizzly bear didn't run. It charged. With a deep, angry roar, the bear ran straight toward Vorak. Snow flew behind it as its heavy paws thundered across the ground. Vorak's eyes widened. Most creatures and most planets ran from him. This one was different. Vorak dodged to the side, his blade slicing through the air. Managed to cut the bear's shoulder, but the beast didn't stop. It spun with surprising speed and slammed into him with its full weight. The force knocked Vorak to the ground. The bear reared up and brought its claws down onto Vorak's chest. The armored plates held, but just barely. Arms in Vorak's helmet beeped. More damage. More injuries. Vorak rolled to the side and slashed again, cutting into the bear's ribs. Blood sprayed, but the bear didn't even flinch. It roared louder, louder than any alien Vorak had ever fought. The fight was brutal. Vorak landed several deep cuts on the bear. But every time he attacked, the bear responded with crushing strength. It bit into his shoulder, shook him like a toy, and threw him against a tree. The impact cracked his helmet. Vorak struggled to breathe. His armor was failing. His body ached. His blood mixed with the snow, but he wasn't done. With a final roar of his own, Vorak charged. He jumped onto the bear's back, stabbing both blades deep into its sides. The bear howled in pain, twisting and turning, trying to throw him off. But Vorak held on, pushed the blades deeper and deeper until the creature finally fell. The grizzly crashed to the snowy ground with a heavy thud. Dead Vorak collapsed next to it, gasping for air. His heart pounded in his chest. Blood dripped from several wounds. His armor was cracked in half a dozen places. His helmet lens was shattered. His left arm didn't move properly. He had won, but just barely. He lay there for a long time, staring at the body of the bear. It was bigger than him, heavier, stronger than most creatures he'd ever fought, and it wasn't even the top. Predator here, it was just an animal, not intelligent, not trained, not armed, yet it nearly killed him. Vorak felt something he hadn't felt in years, maybe ever. Doubt. This world was not soft. It was not weak. It didn't welcome outsiders. It challenged them. It tested. Them fought back harder than expected. He looked around, breathing heavily. The forest was quiet again, but the silence felt deeper now, not peaceful waiting. He activated his scanner again. Oh, humans nearby. Good. He needed time to heal. Vorak pulled out a small tube from his belt and sprayed it on his wounds. The gel hissed, sealing cuts and numbing pain. He reached into his pack and pulled out some energy, paste tasteless, but full of nutrients. He needed to recover. He glanced again at the bear. Such strength, such fury, and it wasn't the only one. What kind of world produced creatures like this? What kind of world produced humans? As the sun set behind the snowy trees, Vorak built a small shelter using broken parts from his armor and ship. He lit a small fire using a chemical spark. He had no fear of being found yet. He was deep in the forest, but his mind wasn't calm. He kept thinking about the fight, about how close he came to death, about how the grizzly bear didn't care who he was or what species he came from. It just defended its territory, fought with everything it had. It's like a true predator. And Vorak realized something. This planet doesn't care if you are the strongest. In the galaxy, Earth had its own rules, its own power, and Vorak had just learned that lesson the hard way. The next morning, snow had started to fall again. Vorak stood beside the bear's body one last time. He reached down and pulled out one of its claws, a trophy, but not one of pride. This was a reminder that on Earth, everything is a fight, even survival. He would move toward the nearest human settlement now. His ship was gone. His armor barely worked. He needed tools, technology, or something to get off this planet. But now he wasn't so confident. If a bear could nearly kill him, what would a human do? End of Part 2. Part 3. A farmer's warning after the brutal fight with the grizzly bear. Vorak knew one thing for certain. Earth was not what he expected. This world was wild, dangerous, and full of surprises. He had landed here thinking he would be the top predator. But now, bloodied and limping, he wasn't so sure. He needed shelter, rest. Tools. His wrist scanner showed signs of human life several kilometers away. There was a small energy signature, likely a house or farm. Vorak started walking, each step slow and heavy. His armor was cracked in multiple places, and his body ached from the battle. Still, he kept moving. There was no choice. Snow crunched beneath his boots as he made his way through the thick forest. Pine trees towered over him. Cold wind howled between the trunks. Crows caught above, watching from the branches. Vorak didn't like it. Back on other planets, nature feared him. Creatures ran. Forests were silent. Here, it felt like the world was watching him, judging him. He finally reached the edge of the forest and stopped. In the distance, sitting quietly at the end of a long dirt road, was a small wooden farmhouse. A red barn stood nearby, half covered in snow. Smoke rose gently from the chimney. Vorak zoomed in with his visor and saw two figures outside, one older, one younger. They were splitting logs. The older one, a human male, appeared strong and steady. He wore a heavy coat and gloves. The younger one, a girl, maybe 15 or 16, swung an axe beside him, following his lead. They looked calm, focused. Not the helpless prey Vorak had imagined humans would be. Still, he needed help. He had no weapons left, no food, and no working equipment. And these humans didn't look like soldiers. Vorak stepped out from the trees. The girl saw him first. She paused, lowered her axe, and stared. Her father looked up next and froze. Instead of panicking, instead of running, he calmly set down his axe. Then, slowly, he reached behind him and pulled out a shotgun. Vorak raised both hands, showing he meant no harm. The father didn't lower the weapon. "You ain't from around." "Here," the man said, his voice deep and calm. Vorak activated his universal translator, a small device on his chest. It crackled, then repeated his words in English. "I mean no harm. I am injured. I crashed. I need shelter." The man narrowed his eyes. "You crashed, huh? That smoke in the woods? That you?" "Yes, you kill something back there." "A bear roaring like it was in a war." Vorak hesitated. "It attacked me. Killed it." The girl stepped forward, rifle in hand. "We killed a grizzly bear." "With what?" "My hands," Vorak replied simply. The man didn't blink. "You're either real strong or real stupid." Vorak didn't respond. His body hurt too much. His pride even more. The man sighed and lowered the shotgun slightly. "We don't get many visitors. Certainly not ones like you." "I need help," Vorak repeated. "I don't want to fight." "Good," the man said, "because you wouldn't win here." That caught Vorak off guard. The man looked at him straight in the eyes. "You think we're just farmers? We're weak?" "I thought you were not soldiers," Vorak replied. "We're not," the man said. "But on this land, we protect our own. Doesn't matter if it's man or monster. We've fought off wolves, bears, even poachers with rifles. And if something like you came to hurt us," he cocked the shotgun, "we'd handle it." The girl nodded, her grip on the rifle steady. Vorak suddenly felt very aware of his condition. He was still bleeding. His armor was failing, his energy was low, and yet these humans stood strong, without fear. Not because they were stronger than him, but because they believed they could handle anything. That was new to Vorak. Most species respected him through fear. But these two? They didn't seem scared at all. The man finally spoke again. "We'll give you something for the bleeding, but you can't stay." Vorak nodded, understood. The girl stepped inside the house and returned with a basic first aid kit. They tossed it on the ground in front of him. Vorak opened it and scanned the items. They were primitive compared to alien tech, but usable. He applied pressure bandages, disinfectant, and a wrap to his ribs. It helped. Not perfect, but enough to keep him standing. The man lit a cigarette and took a puff. "You'll want to head to town. It's about 10 miles down the road. Might be someone there who knows what to do with. You're kind. Will they help me?" "Maybe. Or maybe they'll shoot first. Depends on how you show up." "Are they?" "Like you?" The man chuckled. "No. Most of them are worse. Veterans. Hunters. People who've been through a lot." Vorak stared at him. "Your people? They fight often?" "Oh yeah," the man said, looking out over the snow-covered land. "We've been fighting since the beginning. Wars, nature, each other. But we always come out tougher." Thought about that. He had seen species that avoided conflict, others that ran when danger appeared. But humans, they didn't just fight. They seemed to expect it. The man pointed to the axe. "See my daughter? She can skin a deer, shoot a rifle, and survive in the woods for days. She's 16. Vorak looked at her. She didn't flinch under his stare. "On my planet, our youth train in hunting schools," Vorak said. "Only the best survive." The man smirked. "Sounds like Earth." Yes. The sky darkened. Vorak prepared to leave. He turned to the man. "One last time. You have no technology, no ships, no weapons like mine, and yet you do not fear me." The man shrugged. "We've seen worse, and we've beaten worse. You ain't special here." That line hit Vorak harder than any bullet. He walked away in silence, heading toward the distant lights of the nearby town. His body still hurt, but something else hurt more: his pride. On every other planet he was feared, respected, or worshipped. But on Earth, he was just another problem to deal with. He had come to this world expecting easy prey, but the prey looked him in the eye, handed him a bandage with one hand, while aiming a gun with the other. As the farmhouse disappeared behind him, Vorak realized the truth. Humans were not just survivors. They were fighters. Natural-born warriors. Even the quiet ones. Even the farmers. And this was only the beginning. End of Part 3. Part 4. The Town That Fights Back. Vorak walked through the cold, snow-covered woods for hours after leaving the farmhouse. His injuries still hurt, but the first aid kit the humans gave him helped keep him stable. His broken pride, however, was harder to fix. He had come to Earth expecting a world of weak creatures. Instead, he had been nearly killed by a bear and stared down by a farmer with a shotgun. Now, he headed toward a small town, unsure of what to expect. The scanner on his wrist blinked weakly, showed lights and energy signals just ahead. The human town. It wasn't big, probably no more than 800 people, but in this world even. A small group could be dangerous. Vorak stepped out of the trees and onto a snow-covered road. Houses and stores stood in the distance, lit by warm yellow lights. Smoke rose from chimneys. The air was still and cold, but calm. He walked toward the center of town, and the town was ready. Unbeknownst to Vorak, his appearance had already been reported. A hiker had spotted something strange moving in the forest, a tall figure, armored and glowing. Someone else heard the distant roar of the grizzly bear fight. A local hunter found the alien ship crash site. Photos were taken, video shared, and within hours, Earth's internet was buzzing with the news. Alien creature in the woods. Mysterious crash in Canada. Strange footprints found. Is this proof we're not alone? Some thought it was a prank, but others believed it tanned. Those others included ex-military, survivalists, hunters, and off-duty police. The townsfolk didn't run. They didn't panic. They prepared. As Vorak approached the center of town, he noticed something strange. Streets were empty, but he felt eyes watching him. Windows had curtains pulled back. Doors were shut but not locked. It was quiet. It was too quiet. Then a voice rang out behind him. "Stop right there." Vorak turned. A man stood at the end of the road holding a scoped rifle. He wore a thick jacket, winter boots, and a police badge. More people appeared behind him. Hunters, farmers, and townspeople, all holding weapons. They weren't fancy weapons like Vorak had seen in Galactic Wars, but they were real and deadly. Shotguns, rifles, bows, even a few old military weapons. Vorak raised his hands slowly. "I come in peace. I was in a crash. I seek only help."
Ow.
One woman stepped forward. She had gray hair, a cane in one hand, and a calm look on her face. "You crashed here and already made quite a mess," she said. "We saw the bear carcass. We saw the smoke. Now you show up in our town looking like something out of a nightmare." "I defended myself," Vorak replied. "I never meant to harm your people. Tensions don't matter here, son," the old woman said. "Actions do." A younger man stepped beside her. He looked like a veteran, strong build, hard eyes, sleeves rolled up revealing scars and tattoos. He carried no gun, just a long hunting knife. "You think you're the only one who's seen battle?" the man asked. Vorak narrowed his eyes. "I have fought in wars across 12 systems. I've hunted creatures that turned tanks into scrap." "What have you fought?" The man's expression didn't change. "Humans." He stepped closer. "I've seen friends die on the battlefield. I've held the line while everything around me burned. I've watched children survive bombings and keep going like nothing happened." "You think your scars make you special?" Vorak said nothing. The man continued. "You picked the wrong planet if you thought we'd fear you." At that moment, a sound rang out from above. Vorak looked up and saw small drones circling in the sky. Earth's military. No, just civilian drones. People were filming everything across the internet. The world was watching, and the town was not backing down. The townspeople didn't attack immediately. Instead, they used strategy. One man began circling behind Vorak, quiet as a shadow. Another climbed onto a rooftop with a scoped rifle. A woman pretended to be afraid, distracting Vorak, while another set up a trap behind him. Vorak's senses caught the movements. He turned suddenly, but too late. His foot caught a hidden wire. In a flash, a weighted net launched into the air and dropped on him, tangling his arms and legs. He roared in anger and tried to slash through it. Then came the flashbang. A blinding light and ear-piercing bang exploded next to him. Vorak fell to his knees, dazed, his vision blurred. Before he could rise, the veteran from before slammed into him, tackling him with brutal force. More people piled on. They hit him with sticks, shovels, tools, not to kill, but to subdue. They had no interest in murder. They just wanted him down, and they succeeded. Within minutes, Vorak lay on the cold ground, pinned and breathing heavily. His armor sparked and hissed. His visor was cracked. His pride was shattered again. The townspeople stood over him, breathing hard but victorious. They didn't kill him. Instead, they helped him up and tied his arms. The old woman handed him a cup of hot coffee. "Drink," she said. "You'll need your strength." Vorak stared at her. "Why help me after defeating me?" She shrugged. "Because we're human. That's what we do. We fight hard, but we don't torture the weak. You wanted to see what humans are like? Well, now you've seen," another man added. "We don't fear monsters. We raise them." Headline stayed in Vorak's mind. They brought him to the local sheriff's station and contacted the Canadian military. Soon, a special team arrived, scientists, soldiers, and negotiators. Vorak sat quietly in a holding cell, wrapped in thick thermal blankets. His injuries being treated. As he looked out the small window, he saw children playing in the snow, people rebuilding the trap he broke, and soldiers talking with locals over coffee. These people were not part of a great empire. They didn't have fleets or plasma weapons, but they had something else. Courage, unity, and that made them dangerous. Later that night, Vorak was allowed to speak with one of the human generals. "You've seen what our people are like," the general said. "We don't start fights, but we don't lose them either." Vorak nodded slowly. "I thought this planet would be easy prey. And now," Vorak looked down at his hands, still sore from the fight. "Now I know better." End of Part 4. Part 5. The message to the stars of Vorak sat in a secure human facility, wrapped in thick gray blankets. His wounds were healing. His armor had been removed and was being studied by scientists. Human soldiers stood nearby, always watching. Afraid, just careful. He had expected prison, maybe torture. But instead, the humans treated him with respect. He was fed, given clean water, medical help. They even gave him access to a translator so he could understand their language better. What shocked Vorak most was that the humans were not angry. They were curious. They asked questions. Not just about his species or technology, but about him. Who he was, why he came, what he thought of Earth now. Vorak was honest. "I came here thinking I was the strongest," he told one of the human generals. "I thought I would hunt, conquer, and return to my people as a hero." The general, a calm, older man with gray hair and sharp eyes, simply nodded. "You're not the first outsider to think that." "And now," Vorak said, lowering his head, "I understand why this planet is feared." The humans showed him videos. They didn't brag about their weapons or military victories. Instead, they showed him what humans survive. He watched real footage of hurricanes destroying entire towns, and people helping each other in the rain and wind. He saw wildfires burning forests while firefighters ran toward the flames not away. Watched earthquake zones where buildings had collapsed, and humans dug through rubble with bare hands to rescue strangers. He saw war zones bloody. Broken places and still. People planted flags, rebuilt homes, sang songs, and lived. They showed him images of astronauts, and space-tiny humans in fragile suits. Floating in the vast emptiness, they showed children in hospitals laughing while receiving treatments for cancer, They showed humans in wheelchairs, finishing marathons, and Vorak finally understood humans were not strong because they were born that way. They were strong because they refused to give up. Later, the general asked him a question. If we let you send a message to your people, what would you say? Vorak paused. He had dreamed of returning home with trophies from Earth. He had imagined telling his people how easily he defeated the so-called dangerous humans. But now he knew the truth. He sat in a small room, a single light above him, and spoke into the recording device they gave him. His voice was steady, firm, and filled with something to respect. This is Vorak of the Andraxi. I came to Earth believing I was a hunter entering a planet of prey. I was wrong. Earth is not weak. Earth is not unguarded. It is alive. It is dangerous. It is full of creatures that fight without fear who do not give up even when wounded or outmatched. I fought one of their beasts and nearly died. I walked into one of their towns and was defeated by simple people without armor or ships. And I saw something more terrifying than any weapon: unity. Humans protect each other. They fight for those they love. Even children train. Even the old stand tall. If one of them falls, 10 more rise in their place. Do not invade this world. Do not test its people. Earth does not fear monsters. It raises them. He ended the message and handed the device to the humans. They promised to send it to his people using the same signal frequency his ship had used before the crash. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council received reports first, strange energy readings from Earth's orbit, then the crash site, and finally the message. When Vorak's warning reached the Andraxi command leaders, they were shocked. Vorak had never admitted defeat before, never shown fear. If he had failed, then Earth was not just another planet. It was a threat. The Council quickly changed their files on Earth. It was no longer a quarantine zone due to unknown dangers. It was now marked extreme risk, do not approach. Rumors spread across the stars. Vorak was nearly killed by a single beast. The humans caught him alive. A small town brought him down without alien tech. Other species, once curious about Earth, quietly turned away. They deleted planned missions. They removed Earth from trade maps. No one wanted to face what Vorak had seen. Back on Earth, Vorak was given a choice. You can stay, the general said, or we can try to contact your people to come get you. Vorak thought carefully. Part of him wanted to leave.
Out.
To return home and recover. But another part of him, one that had changed during his time here, was curious. He had traveled the galaxy hunting strength. And now he realized the greatest strength wasn't in weapons or size. It was in willpower, and humans had that in endless supply. I will stay, Vorak said, if you will allow it.
Oh?
The general smiled. Welcome here. But just so you know, if you ever try to hurt anyone again, will stop me, Vorak said. I know. They shook hands. Not as enemies, but as equals. Months passed. Vorak recovered. He trained with human soldiers, studied human history. He helped scientists understand alien biology. In return, they taught him Earth's wazits, science, its languages, its humor. He learned to cook bacon. He laughed at human jokes. He played chess with a retired Marine, and every now and then he visited the small town that had taken him down. The old woman offered him tea. The veteran taught him how to fish. The girl who once pointed a rifle at him gave him a scarf she made herself. Vorak, once a feared apex predator, had become something else. A protector. And across the galaxy, his message became legend. Aliens whispered stories of the planet where even the children were fearless. A world that broke the strongest warrior in the stars and made him better. The name Earth became a warning, and the name human, it became a word, said only with respect or fear. End of part 5.